beautiful breakfast bake made with mushroom, cheese, egg, and stale bread. It actually tastes like, you know when you make an omelet sandwich and you put it in between bread? That's kind of what this tastes like. I had 5 slices of multigrain bread. It was stale. Actually, when we bought it, it was already stale. I sent my husband to get it, and it was already stale. We couldn't go back to return it because by the time we had started using it, it had already been 3-4 days. So I was like, there's no point returning it now, so I'm just using it up. So I had 5 slices left, including one of the heel pieces where you can see the crust on the side. So I just cut them up into little cubes, and now I'm going to make like a savory bread pudding for breakfast uses because we don't want to eat it anymore like this. So I'm going to put this inside this baking dish, and then I will show you the next step. There's even some crumbs left over on this cutting board, so I'm going to add those also. Doesn't matter, you can just add all of it in there. So I really like multigrain bread. The seeds and stuff give it a really nice texture, and of course it's really good for your health. It's full of fiber and more protein as well, so it helps you be more regular, if you know what I mean. But it gets stale really quickly, and especially if a loaf's already started a bit stale, it's gonna go hard really quick, and it'll start breaking apart. It won't be yummy. So I'm just going to spread out these pieces, and we can always add some oats to this mixture if needed at the end, but for now I'm going to just leave it like this. Eggs, and I can always add more milk to make up for the rest of the liquid. So now I'm going to crack this into my bowl and whisk it up, and I'll be right back and show you everything else that I add. So those are my 3 eggs. In case you didn't know, by the way, the color of the shell doesn't mean it's a better egg or anything. It just means that it's a different species of chicken. So white egg, brown egg, it doesn't matter the shell color. But yeah, the fact that the yolks are a little bit deeper yellow, that's definitely a sign of more nutrients. By the way, like I'm using 3 eggs because I have them, but technically you could even make this without any eggs, or 1 egg or 2 egg, how many you have. You can just add milk, and you can add cheese and any seasonings. So now we're going to mix this up together. I will fast forward to that point. So that's been whisked together pretty well. I'm going to mix some more ingredients so then it'll get even better mixed. By the way, you don't have to make this. I'm making this into a savory breakfast bake, but you can also add milk and cinnamon and sugar, maybe some vanilla extract, and turn it into a sweet French toast style bake. But I'm just going to add some cheese, and if I have some veggies, I'll add some of those, and it'll become more of a savory breakfast bake. So after whisking up your milk, you just want to mix in some milk. I'm using plant milk here. You can use dairy milk or any other kind of milk. You can even use water or broth. I'm just going to add a little bit, and we'll see if we need more as we go. After that, I'm going to add about a couple of pinches each of red chili powder, black pepper. This is garlic powder, but I put it in an old black pepper container so that I can sprinkle it easily. And salt. So salt, garlic powder, black pepper, and red chili powder. And you can add as much as you like, but I'm going to add maybe like 2 pinches each and see how it is, and maybe I'll add some more if I need it. See how easy it is to just sprinkle some garlic powder now? Now same thing with the black pepper. So I need to buy proper salt and pepper shakers, but until then the store-bought ones work just fine. And finally some salt. I'm just gonna get that open. I'm gonna add maybe that much. You can always add more later if needed. And mix it all together. And I am also going to add the paneer that I made in the other video on my channel. Just check it out, I recently posted it. I'm gonna add this to this mixture as well, and then I can always top with some more cheese or mix some more cheese inside if I want. I can also leave out the cheese, it's not important. This is a really forgiving recipe. It's gonna make a really delicious breakfast bake. There's the cheese, and then I'm just gonna break it up and mix it in properly so it's well distributed. I should probably have used a fork, but now I'm like, I always have to wash this, so I don't really want to have to wash another utensil, even though it's just a utensil, but I'm very stingy with washing dishes. So, yep, I'm just gonna mix that all up together really well. I'm also gonna add in a few mushrooms. Mushrooms are a great source of protein. They're also pretty cheap depending on where you live. The best part about them is they're really quick to prepare, so sometimes if you just want some protein in your meal but you don't want to defrost and then cook an entire like piece of meat, this is great, especially for breakfast. So I'm just gonna chop this up and we'll be right back. By the way, the mushroom stalks are perfectly good to eat. You might just want to chop them a little bit finer, so I'm gonna give them another dice. If you don't have mushrooms easily available, or if they're expensive in your area, you can always use onions. You can even use cooked potatoes. You can use carrots. You can use bell pepper or capsicum, basically shimla mirch. You can actually use like green peppers, spring onions, pretty much any vegetable that doesn't need like extensive cooking. Or if it does, like potatoes, like they can be partially cooked or leftover sabzi. You can add that into this. It's going to be a really good way to use up sabzi and also to increase the vegetable content in this dish. I think you could even end up like using, if you have like leftover mincemeat like keema, or if you even have some dal, I'm sure you can add this in, it'll taste good. You could even use chickpeas or pretty much anything that's cooked and you think it would want to use it up. You can use up the flavor as long as it's savory. You could add in some olives. This would taste great. So yeah, here's the chopped up mushrooms. I'm gonna add this to the tray. So normally, yeah, you can't eat mushrooms entirely raw. You should at least saute them on a fry pan before eating them, but since this is gonna be baked, it'll be enough cooking for this. And then you can pour over this mixture, and you can also, I have some cheese slices, and I also have some random like other cheese lying around. It's Romano cheese, so I'm going to add some of that as well, maybe just over the top, and some cheese slices, but I also have some in here. I might just do the one on the top, so yeah, I'm going to add this over it and be right. So I have added the egg and milk mixture. I think this is not enough moisture, so I'm just going to add some more milk back into this bowl. Mix it up to get the last spices, and then add some more into this. Okay, so I've added more milk to the mixture. You see how you can see this little amount of liquid? So that's all going to be soaked up by the bread while baking, and this is looking really good. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top. So let me open this box. So just going to sprinkle a little bit. I don't like too much cheese because then it gets really heavy. This already has a good amount of protein in it and eggs and everything, so that should be enough. That's just gonna get really nice and brown on top, and it's gonna hopefully taste really good. So I'm gonna put it in a 175 Celsius oven. That should be around 350 Fahrenheit. I'm gonna put it for 20 minutes and then check on it, and maybe I'll have to put it in for a bit longer. So as you can see, my oven is set to, sorry, I meant 175 Celsius. That's around 350 Fahrenheit. So I'm gonna just open this and stick my tray in there. It's a really hot day here in Australia, so yeah, the oven feels super hot right now. And get those oven mitts out of the way and close the oven. You can peek that it's in there. And then I'm gonna set the timer for 20 minutes, and then it's gonna ring in 20 minutes. The oven is beeping. Let's check on it. There's that steam. Stop beeping. I don't like to hear you. It's still looking a little bit wet, so I think we can give it another 10 minutes. It's also getting pretty crispy on top, you hear that? So I think it's gonna taste pretty good, but yeah, let's give it maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes more. You can also continue cooking from the carryover heat when you set it out, so maybe 5 minutes should be enough because you don't want it to get too dry. Alright, back inside you go. That's the back of my spoon. So hard filming with one hand. Okay. So after the 5 minutes, I baked it for another 3 to 4 minutes, and now it feels like the right consistency. I'm gonna pull it out, and if there's any more jiggliness left to it, the leftover heat inside it will cook it through. And there you go. That's a beautiful breakfast bake made with mushroom, cheese, egg, and stale bread. So I just broke off a small cut out a small piece to see what it's like, even though it's just out of the oven, so it's a bit soft. It's gonna set a bit more as it cools. As you can see, there's a nice crust on the edges, and this piece is pretty warm, crispy. You can see the cheese bits, but still pretty moist and soft inside. So yeah, I think it's gonna be good. Yeah, it tastes pretty good. It actually tastes like, you know, when you make an omelet sandwich and you put it in between bread? That's kind of what this tastes like, but just in a piece like this. So I think you could add a little bit more seasoning, or even just eat this with hot sauce or ketchup, and it'll taste great. So give it a try and let us know what you think in the comments.